PNR Networks is a member of Patreon. Show your love for our shows by joining our ongoing fundraising campaign and get some fantastic perks in return. Check it out and become a Patreon sponsor. You can sign up at patreon.com, patreon.com/PNR Networks. And thanks for your support.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
It's Kim versus TC in the battle of the lists.
My list is better.
My list is better.
My list is better.
No, it's not. My list is better.
Kim or TC, who has the better list? From Subject Cinema, this is Front Row 5 and 10 with Kim Brown and TC Kirkham.
Hi guys, welcome to another week here on Front Row 5 and 10, brought to you by the people that bring you Subject Cinema. That would be him and me, the me being Kim Brown.
And the him being TC Kirkham. Welcome.
Hi.
Back for another season of Front Row 5 and 10, getting really going crazy. She's got lists and lists and lists of stuff to do.
Yeah, I went like kind of crazy. I was like, okay, let's just start thinking of stuff, and I was like, write, scribble. Holy
But we
crap,
still want to
that's a
hear
lot.
from you. If you have a list you'd like us to tackle, we'd love to do it. Subjects, front row at PNRNetworks.com.
Mm-hmm.
My turn this week.
Yep.
Our top 10 Peanuts specials.
Yes.
I'm wondering if we've done this on the regular show before at some point. We did a whole show devoted to Peanuts about 10 years ago, and it was a lot of fun. I don't remember if we did a countdown or not. But
I don't think we did a countdown. We talked about specific specials and other things that we remember, because Charles Schultz's universe has been a big part of both of our lives growing up. I think it's one, as we mentioned on our earlier show that we did, the comic strip show that we did. It's our favorite. It's one of our favorite comics, both of us.
And tied at number one for both
Yeah.
of us. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I had it at number one.
Yeah, I had a tie with Calvin and Hobbes because I just could not decide. So this was your list, like you said. The idea for this, favorite Peanuts specials.
I actually had a tie, but I decided I didn't need to, so I do have a couple of honorable mentions when I start. But
Okay.
yeah, if you'd like to get things kicked off, please do it. Number 10.
Okay, number 10 for me is, I think this is probably the darkest special they ever did, or one of them. I mean, some of the specials have gotten into sad places before, and I'll get to that as well. But this one, I just remember this being over and being like, wow, okay. Number 10 for me is What a Nightmare, Charlie Brown, which first aired in 1978. What a Nightmare, Charlie Brown is actually very, very rare in regards to the Peanut specials, because there's nobody else in it other than Charlie Brown and Snoopy. As far as I can recall. The whole thing of it is that Charlie Brown's kind of fed up with Snoopy's kind of overly civilizedness, and he's kind of complaining that he doesn't act like an actual dog should act. This is after Snoopy's just basically being himself,
That's basically the plot line of like 5 or 6 of the specials over the years.
And Snoopy winds up having a nightmare where he is forced to act like a regular dog. Now, this isn't acting like a regular dog in a regular house or anything like that type of a situation. This is acting like a regular dog that is part of a sled dog team. And it's not an easy life. The human that takes care of the dogs treats them very cruelly. The other dogs don't accept him because he's too not like a dog.
He's a beagle.
and he's a beagle, which I'm sorry. If I was going to put together a sled dog team, Beagle would be right after nothing, actually, because I would not put
it would have to be above Chihuahuas or Bichons.
Well, I suppose. Yeah, but I don't really think those kind of dogs could live in that kind of climate to begin with.
No.
A beagle could. It would be miserable, but it could. And the end of the special has the dog sled team driving on a frozen lake, and the lake cracks open, and all of the driver of the sled and the other dogs are pulled underwater, and Snoopy's clinging on for dear life and then wakes up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's very, very dark. I remember being, 1978, I was 9 or 10 or so, and remember sitting there being like, this is different. This is different. So my number 10, What a Nightmare, Charlie Brown.
I have to be totally honest. I don't like that special. It's one of the 3 or 4 that I just don't like. Because exactly, it's a nightmare, and kids are going to be freaking out when they saw that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have 2 honorable mentions that didn't quite make my top 10. I had them tied at number 10. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that because I actually like one of them better than I like the other 3. My 2 honorable mentions that made the list are one of the more popular ones, a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, which I enjoy, and we enjoy it. It's, based, I'm sure she's going to have it on her list somewhere, so I won't spoil it for her. And she's a good skate, Charlie Brown, from 1980, which was Peppermint Patty's figure skating adventure, where Snoopy is dressed as like this Russian figure skating coach, and he ends up screwing up her music, but Woodstock saves the day. It's a great little special. Mm-hmm. My number 10 overall is one of the 2 anthology specials that made its debut in the 1980s and which eventually spawned the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show on Saturday mornings.
I didn't include any of these. I was just kind of like, I felt that didn't work for me.
Okay, well, it's up to you. It's an Adventure, Charlie Brown, premiered in 1983. It was the second of the 2 specials like that. And it actually was the most faithful of the cartoons because it adapted stories right out of the strip. There were 8 stories in this one, and one of the reasons I really enjoyed it was because of Sack. This is where Charlie Brown puts his sack over his head because he has this rash on the back of his head that makes it look like a baseball. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want anybody to see that. But the funniest one in this one was caddies with Peppermint Patty and Marcy as golf caddies to these 2 older women that are constantly fighting. And eventually it comes to fisticuffs off screen. And you see the 2 of them commentating on it. And it is hysterically funny. There was also Kite, which was a Charlie Brown kite-eating tree vignette. Song, which is Lucy and Schroeder. Sally, which is Sally's bad jokes in class. Butterfly, with Peppermint Patty finding a butterfly resting on her nose when she wakes up after falling asleep in class. Blanket, which is Lucy trying to get rid of Linus's blanket, and Woodstock, which is only about a minute and a half long, but had me in total hysterics. Because it's just him flying around buzzing Snoopy, and when he lands, he ends up landing on Snoopy so that he's resting upside down on Snoopy's nose. I thought that was hysterical the first time I saw it. I love this special, and it came out, originally aired on May 16th, 1983, and is one of the 2 anthologies from the 80s. Several anthologies, but it's one of the 2 that I liked. It's an Adventure Charlie Brown, number 10.
Okay. Number 9 is on my list is You're the Greatest, Charlie Brown, which aired in 1979. It involves Charlie Brown deciding to, he winds up going out for a school competition, and the only thing left is decathlon. And he is actually doing better than you think he would, but because he's Charlie Brown.
Of all the Charlie Browns, you're the Charlie Browniest.
We're not there yet.
I know.
Stop line hijacking. Quit it. The thing I like about this one is something that happens at the end, that if Al Gore had invented the internet a little earlier, it probably would have spawned a crap ton of fanfic. At the end of the special, when everybody else is basically giving him a hard time, Marcy is actually quite kind to him and winds up lifting up her glasses to give him a wink. And I'm like, oh. Now, Charles Schultz did kind of hint in more than one of the comic strips that Marcy might have had a little bit of a crush on Charlie Brown.
Well, so did Peppermint Patty, but she hid it with her gruffness.
No, see, I think Peppermint Patty thought Charlie Brown had a crush on her. But it's
mutual. I think it's mutual.
I don't think it's mutual. I think if he had been given a little encouragement and Marcy said, "Hey, I like you. I think you're really nice," I think he would have noticed that she was more than just Peppermint Patty's friend.
Possibly, but
who's to say? Mm-hmm. My number 9, You're the Greatest, Charlie Brown.
That was another thing about She's a Good Skate that I forgot to bring up. Marcy is one of my favorite characters of all time, especially in the animated shows.
Yeah, she's given more to do.
She gets a lot of great stuff in the animated specials. She's good in the strip, but in the end, and She's a Good Skate, she tries to make Peppermint Patty a skating costume, and it's really funny. My number 9 is one of the older classics that I hadn't seen since I was in 1st or 2nd grade until Nickelodeon was running them about 10 years ago. And I'd forgotten how truly funny it was. And it still remains one of the best specials. Play It Again, Charlie Brown from 1971 is actually not a Charlie Brown story, it's a Schroeder story. This was the first special that didn't focus almost entirely on Charlie Brown or Snoopy. It focused mostly on Schroeder. In this cartoon, Lucy tries to talk Schroeder into playing at the PTA's piano concert. And at first he doesn't like the idea. He doesn't really want to do that. He's not a commercial pianist. But she talks him into doing it finally, because the PTA is going to be there. But the PTA puts down a mandate. He can't play Beethoven. He has to play rock music. It's
on the piano.
The PTA decided that they wanted a rock concert instead. Of course, eventually Schroeder does win out the day. Lucy and her spray cans. Everything comes in spray cans. PTA meetings, rock music, Beethoven. Psh, you hear the music. That gag kills me. I love that one. And it's an interesting thing that she doesn't drop this into Schroeder's line of thinking until it's almost too late, like she usually does with Linus in the plays. But this is where we first see Charlie Brown, Snoopy, and Pigpen playing instruments with Schroeder. And, of course, that became a later thing and is wonderfully done by a gentleman who makes music videos out of Peanuts cartoons on YouTube. If you haven't seen them, they're great. It's a really funny story, and like I said, the spray can gag is hilarious to me. I just think that's because now you can't do that because they don't have the fluorocarbons in them anymore.
There goes Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. Number 9 from 1971, the first special not to focus entirely on Charlie Brown. It's a Schroeder and Lucy story. Play It Again, Charlie Brown.
For those of you who don't get that joke, if you're too young to remember that, ask your parents about fluorocarbons and holes in the ozone layer. That kind of. Yes, I do make jokes about stuff like that.
Yes,
I know.
you do.
I'm kind of deranged like that. Number 8, I realize that some people, when they hear what number 8 is, they might kind of go, ugh, because it's, it's definitely like, oh, this touches me as a woman and it makes me feel really sweet. And I'm like, oh,
I'm getting ready to do it.
My number 8 is It's Your First Kiss, Charlie Brown. From 1977. You're a jerk. It's Your First...
You wanted me to do it.
Well, It's Your First Kiss, Charlie Brown is dealing with the whole unrequited crush that Charlie Brown has had forever on the little red-haired girl. She's been a focus of a lot of the Charlie Brown comic strips, but we had never actually seen her. We didn't even know her name. She was just the little red-haired girl. This special, she actually has a name. Her name is Heather.
Which is something that Charles Schultz did not approve of, by the way.
He didn't approve of it, but he was fine with it when they put it in the show.
Yeah.
He was also fine with the way they designed because we actually got to see Heather. Mm-hmm. he said he had never drawn her in the comics because he wasn't sure how to draw her, and he wasn't sure what all of the fans, because you could draw her one way and people would say she's too tall, other people would say she's too short, other people would say she's just perfect, and then you'd have infighting and stuff like that among the fans, and goodness knows we don't need that. But this special forced his hand, and along comes Heather. And at the end of the whole thing of the special is that Charlie Brown gets to kiss her because she's like homecoming queen or some award kind of a deal. Mm-hmm. And he kisses her and faints. Or passes out, loses consciousness, doesn't remember anything else of what happened after the kiss, which Linus helps him to remember the next day, where it turns out that he was the life of the party. He danced with Heather, he danced with all the other girls, doing all the latest dances and just being this total dynamic figure. And he's like, I don't remember any of this. But
they actually did a play of that, sort of a twisted around version of that in the Peanuts movie.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
And me being a romantic at heart.
It is a cute special, yeah.
I remember seeing that and being like, oh, that's so sweet. And when we were doing this list and I thought of that again, I was like, it's that whole young love thing. Yes, I love sappy love stories and hardcore Japanese wrestling. I know, I'm Captain Contradiction. I know. So from 1977, my number 8, It's Your First Kiss, Charlie Brown.
That is a cute special. It didn't make my list, but it is a cute special. My number 8 is the best of the 2 animated special adaptations of the Broadway and stage shows that they've done with Peanuts. I never knew this one. I knew You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, but I didn't particularly care for the cartoon of it. But Snoopy the Musical, which premiered in 1988, was really well done. I was unaware of that until it came on TV. It actually had premiered where was the original play? It doesn't say. Anyway, they did did this as a vignette series again, but they included the songs from the Snoopy play. I don't know if that one ever made Broadway. I know it played off Broadway. And it is one of the 2 musicals, of course, where Snoopy has a voice. The kids don't hear him.
But the audience does.
Yeah, and the songs are really cute, and they come right out of the play. There was a vignette of Don't Be Anything Less Than Everything You Can Be, which is a little bit... yeah, it's one of those. Woodstock was in this play. There's an Edgar Allan Poe song, a number of other things. It was a lot of fun. I remember a Round Robin sort of song in the middle of it, and this was also... I guess that, I did know one song from this because this is the play where Poor Sweet Baby came out of, which is Peppermint. Did Marcy or Peppermint Patty originally sing that or say that in the comic strip? But the song came out of this, and I knew the song already, so I had obviously heard something from it when it premiered in 1988. It was a lot of fun when they did it on TV, and I hope, to my knowledge, I don't think they ever repeated it, or if they did, it was like once. Because I don't remember seeing it more than once, and it's a really great special. Snoopy the Musical from 1988. Okay, next up, number 7.
Number 7, I only remember seeing this one once, but it was pretty funny. My number 7 from 1974, It's a Mystery, Charlie Brown.
Yeah, I only saw it once, too. That's why I didn't include it, because I'm like, I don't remember it that well. I liked it, but I don't remember it very well.
It's a Mystery, Charlie Brown deals with the theft of Woodstock's nest and his subsequent panic about it. You'd be pretty upset if someone upped and came and took your home away. And he and Snoopy playing Sherlock Holmes trying to figure out who did this dastardly thing. I won't give away who did it. You'll have to go check it out for yourself. And while Snoopy is slightly more huggable than Benedict Cumberbatch, just slightly, sorry Benedict, he's a pretty good Sherlock Holmes, not in the crime-solving part, but just in sheer adorableness. It culminates in a court case presided over by Judge Lucy. That gives you an idea of where this is going. But it all works out well in the end. So my number 7, It's a Mystery, Charlie Brown.
I thought her last name was Van Pelt, not Scheindlin.
You have to wonder. You go,
They look like they could be the same person.
Yeah.
My number 7 is the other of the 2 anthology specials from the 80s that I really adored. It was called A Charlie Brown Celebration. Charlie Brown's Celebration premiered in 1982, and was the first to feature the format of vignettes, which would later go on to help spawn the 2-season-long Charlie Brown and Snoopy show. Mm-hmm. I also, in researching this, did not realize that Boomerang is running a new show.
I didn't know that.
Produced by the people that did the film. So I'm like, I didn't know they were doing that. The vignettes in this special, which aired May 24th, 1982, were School, which was the kids going back to school for the fall. Sally was going into 1st grade, the others into 3rd grade. Another Charlie Brown and Kite fiasco, while Linus and Lucy talk about Edgar Allan Poe. You can guess where that went. Mm-hmm. Charlie Brown's School Days, another school thing. Sally, which was a sketch at summer camp with Sally, Snoopy, and making her television debut at that time, Eudora, who she kind of disappeared in the 90s. I always liked Eudora. She was a very droll character.
I always thought the name Eudora sounded like a Godzilla monster.
And of course it became they usurped the name for an email program in the 90s too.
It does. It sounds like Eudora would be somebody Godzilla would be fighting. It's just that kind of monster sound to the name.
Linus and Sally with more of their antics. Peppermint Patty, who has trouble in school and decides to find a private school and ends up going to the Ace Obedience School on Snoopy's recommendation. Linus on a field trip, who Sally finds is jealous because, again, making her debut here was Truffles, Linus's summer camp girlfriend one year. Truffles, I always love that name. Again, Lucy and Schroeder at the piano. Lucy talking about not feeling thankful for much, and a couple smaller vignettes with Peppermint Patty and Marcy, and Charlie Brown getting sick and ending up in the hospital. I thought this was a fun special the first time I saw it. I did see it a second time on... They must have run it on Nickelodeon, because I saw it recently in the 2000s. And they were running them every day for a couple of years. They were running Charlie Brown's Snoopy Show and putting it together with the specials.
Right.
And it's a fun little show, and I know you didn't like the format. This format would later be used in what I thought was a really kind of unsuccessful special called Charlie Brown's Christmas Tales. ABC pairs that with Charlie Brown Christmas every year, and it's like... It's a mistake to do that. You have one special that's excellent, and the other one's just kind of...
I don't have a problem with the whole idea of these little mini episodes.
Right, yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. I just didn't do any of them on my list.
I didn't think you liked them. That's why I said,
I like them fine.
But so my number 7, a Charlie Brown Celebration from 1982.
Okay. Number 6 on my list is... It's really sad. I mean, it's a really sad one. There's a couple on my list that are really sad. Now, I am a very emotional person. I will admit that I cry over things that make other people cry. I also cry over things that doesn't make anybody else cry.
And then we point and laugh and say, she's crying again.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that one person that's sobbing at the end of Jaws when the shark dies. You can't see it, but I'm totally raising my hand.
Remember that really funny movie where the dog died?
Number 6 on my list, though, if this didn't make you cry, there was something wrong with you. It's also one of the more... I think it's the latest one. Yeah, it's the most recent one I have on my list, and that's 20 years old, more than that. From 1990, Why Charlie Brown Why? Which is dealing with this new girl that's come to school... And she and Linus become friends, and it's very sweet, and they're they just get along, and it's obvious that they care for each other and they like each other. And then the little girl isn't in school for a little while because she's in the hospital because she has cancer. And I believe it's leukemia.
Yeah, it's childhood leukemia.
Yeah. And Linus...
I have to be honest, I've never seen this special. I just knew I wouldn't be able to deal with it.
And Linus doesn't understand, why she's so sick, why she could die from this when she's so young and she's a good person, and why Charlie Brown why comes from this anguished yell that he gives to Charlie Brown. And it broke my heart. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just broke my heart. It's such a touching special, and I think it probably opened up lines of dialogue between kids and parents. I mean, I know parents out there, I know that you want to protect your kids from stuff. You don't want them to know about all the bad things out there, but they're a lot more resilient than you think. And they get upset, but they come back from it, and they wind up being stronger for it in the long run. And Linus and she wind up being stronger. And at the end of the special, she's in remission, and they're swinging back and forth.
There's a happy ending.
Yeah, they're swinging back and forth on the swings, and it's so beautiful. And I remember sitting there just being a puddle, just a puddle.
Now, this
with
is coming
glasses
from
on,
somebody who had just graduated college at the time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yep. I mean, I was reading about it when I was doing this list. I'm like refreshing my memory on it, and the tears are welling up in my eyes. I'm like fanning my face while I'm reading it, like, stop crying, stop crying, stop crying. Because I'm a marshmallow. Mm-hmm. My number 6, Why Charlie Brown, Why?
My number 6 is adapted from actually a series of strips that appeared in the book in the comic strip for a while, for a sequence, a few weeks, and they actually embellished on it quite a bit in the special. In 1983, Is This Goodbye, Charlie Brown? This was first aired in 1983. Let me see what the date was. On February 23rd, and deals with Linus and Lucy's father taking a new job in a new city as part of the company that he works for, and so they're getting ready to move. And it's very sweet in the fact that, Charlie Brown's going to miss his best friend, but of course those that are kind of self-centered, like Sally, who picks up the phone when Linus is calling to tell Charlie Brown this news, and sort of invites herself to the movies with Linus, and then gets upset that he doesn't show up for the date. And it's like, he moved. Hello. Mm-hmm. It is very funny in a lot of places, and there's a couple of small little getcha moments in it too. It does feature almost the entire best known group on TV, which is Charlie Brown, Linus, Lucy, Sally, Schroeder, which there's this whole, don't tell me I've grown accustomed to that face from Schroeder as he sits there trying to play, and we get this, they always show the music above his head, and suddenly Lucy's head is in the middle of it. Plus Woodstock, Snoopy, and Peppermint Patty and Marcy. They're all here for little bits and pieces, and it's a lot of fun. And of course, in the end, they've only been gone like 2 weeks, and then they move back. It's like, Dad didn't like his new job, so we moved back. So it's a very happy ending. It's got some funny stuff in it, and it was the first show to actually feature a couple of voices that would later go on to do more stuff. Brad Keston, who has gone on to be a Broadway actor, and Stacey Tolkien, who has done acting and music and a little bit of everything. I didn't realize she had done voices for Peanuts, and that's something. It's a great little special. Mm-hmm. From 1983, Is This Goodbye, Charlie Brown? Okay. Number 6.
If the one that I just mentioned is got you sitting there blinking back tears, this one is going to kick you in the feels so hard, it's going to be ridiculous. My number 5 from 1983, What Have We Learned, Charlie Brown? What Have We Learned, Charlie Brown is, I don't know if I'd almost call it a sequel or a follow-up.
It's an open-ended follow-up to the film Bon Voyage, Charlie Brown, and Don't Come Back.
Yes.
From 1980.
Yes, which is all about...
which is the best of the 4 films,
it is.
By the way. I love that film.
It's a great film, yeah.
I hated Race for Your Life, which came right before it. The first 2 were okay. You Become Home, Boy Named Charlie Brown, but that one is excellent. Bon Voyage, Charlie Brown is excellent.
What Have We Learned, Charlie Brown is them talking about and seeing pictures of their adventures in Europe and the things that they saw in Europe and the places they went to and stuff like that. The part that
It's mostly France, because that's where they were staying as exchange students.
Yep. The part that ripped me to pieces is when they are at Flanders Field. And, I'm getting all choked up, sorry. And Linus recites the poem about in Flanders Field, and I had learned that at school. Not much before this episode aired. And there was something so poignant about a child reading these words about the horror that is war and the fact that...
And it's always Linus.
Yeah. The fact that, to be perfectly honest, nobody ever really wins a war.
No.
Both sides lose. And I know that sounds like some earthy, crunchy, hippie granola Woodstock kind of a saying, but it's true. Mm-hmm. And the saddest thing of all is from the title, What Have We Learned, Charlie Brown?
Not much.
Decades later, and the answer is not a blankety blank thing. My number 5, What Have We Learned, Charlie Brown?
Okay,
from 1983.
We're into my top 5. Which means these are the 5 I can't live without. I
Okay.
cannot. Even though 2 of them you very rarely see anymore. The other 3, 2 of them are on every year, and the third one is on every 2 or 3 years. So you don't miss it at all. The one that's on every 2 or 3 years is the one at number 5, and it's one of the holiday ones. It's the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown. This one, I really have only one reason why I like this special. Peppermint Patty trying to teach Marcy how to color Easter eggs. Oh my God, I'm on the floor every freaking time. There's this whole sequence. Marcy's never done Easter eggs before. And Patty has to keep buying more and more dozens of eggs because Marcy destroys everything she's doing them with. She gets them and puts them in a waffle iron. She does, all these, I don't want to read them all to you, but
she scrambles them.
She puts them on a griddle. She puts them in a waffle iron. She doesn't get how to color them because she doesn't understand they have to stay in the shells. It's basically Linus's way of making up for this great pumpkin character that keeps missing their house every year, and it's the Easter Beagle. Snoopy, of course, comes dancing by in his little Easter Beagle costume, throwing out eggs and stuff to everybody. It's funny all the way around, but mostly because of that egg coloring segment, which is just hysterical. It's also, it kind of takes away. The one thing that disappointed me about this special, even though I still love it, was the reluctance to do anything for Easter that they did for Christmas, with Linus doing a Bible reading. Remember the reason for Easter? It's the other side of Christmas. Mm-hmm. And they didn't bring it up at all. I was kind of disappointed that Linus didn't go there. But a lot of this comes straight out of the strip, and it's hysterically funny. Number 5, it's the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown. Okay.
My number 4 from 1974 is also It's the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown.
Yay! Same reason?
Pretty much. It's funny, the whole thing with Marcy and Peppermint Patty. There aren't enough face palms.
The first time I saw that, I was literally on the floor. I was laughing so hard.
It's so maddening, though, when you think about the fact that the Easter Beagle, here being played by Snoopy, dances around and gives out eggs to everybody until he gets to Charlie Brown, and he's run out of eggs.
Of course he's run out of eggs.
I'm sorry, I'm sitting there going, he puts food in your dish, you flea bag. You should have given him an egg first. I don't really know what I would have... I understand where you're coming from with the Bible verse thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I never thought about that before, but considering what Easter is and what it's a celebration for, if you celebrate that, if you don't, that's fine.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I don't know how.
I think that's why they actually left it out, is because they were trying to be more inclusive than
I don't really know how you're going to correlate the resurrection of the Son of God with a dancing dog.
No, that's
I
true.
still haven't figured out how you correlate the resurrection of the Son of God with bunnies that give you candy.
Right.
But, you know,
anyway.
I missed that part of Sunday school, I guess. So my number 4, it's the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown.
Okay. My number 4, this isn't going to be on anybody else's list but mine, and I freely admit that. I want you to sit back and I want you to think real carefully. Picture in your mind little beat of disco music going on in the background, or 80s dance music.
And if you can't remember what disco is, go ask your parents.
Shut up. Then visualize that lighted floor from Saturday Night Fever. Okay, you got that? Now, think of Jennifer Beals in her outfits from Flashdance with the leg warmers and the headband and the wristbands and the torn t-shirt, and put them on Snoopy. And you have 1984's goldmine. It's Flash Beagle Charlie Brown. This is the one Charlie Brown special they really need to do a Broadway version of. It is so freaking funny. The music is great. Most of it performed by the kids in the special, although the title track, Flash Beagle, is performed by the always fantastic Joey Scarberry, best known for the theme from The Greatest American Hero, and Desiree Goyette, who wrote all of the music for the Garfield specials. And they wrote most of the music for this special as well. You have, again, a number of vignettes here. And throughout the entire thing, you have Snoopy dressed as Jennifer Beals from Flashdance, which is just hysterical to see anyway. And then you've got the little, the individual segments. You've got Peppermint Patty, the Peppermint Patty song "I'm in Shape," where she's leading an aerobics class in school, right out of the 80s again. You've got the Pigpen Hoedown, where they're doing kind of a square dance type thing. There's a Simon Says game that turns into Lucy Says, which is just hysterical. And of course, the Flash Beagle motif with him out there on the John Travolta floor doing the Saturday Night Fever moves, and in the Jennifer Beals, it's freaking hysterical. I couldn't when they released the soundtrack album, I'm like, I have to have this. I have this. I still listen to it. I love it. It's funny as hell. Unfortunately, I don't think ABC has ever aired it. It has aired on the Nickelodeon package. I know it airs on the YTV package in Canada, but you don't ever see it here anymore. It's paired with Snoopy's Reunion on DVD. If you've never seen it, please watch it, because it is fall down funny. And Fergie's part of it.
Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas?
Stacey Ferguson, better known as Fergie, is the voice of Sally in this special. This is back when she was on Kids Incorporated, or actually before she did Kids Incorporated. She must have been like 6 or so when she did this. And it's a riot. Number 4, it's Flash Beagle Charlie Brown. First aired April 16th, 1984. Okay.
Number 3 on my list from 1973 is one you've mentioned that you're not overly fond of, a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving.
Oh, I love it. It's just that it didn't quite make my top 10.
I think it's one of the most tried and true ones. I think everybody in our age bracket has seen it.
There's 3 of them that air every year, and they'll all be on in the next 3 months.
That's true.
One should be coming up in the next week or 2, and then the next one in November, and the next one in December.
I used to watch this episode, this special, and I have to be perfectly honest, I was so envious of these guys. Because the whole thing of it is that Peppermint Patty invites herself and a bunch of her friends,
Marcy and Franklin,
over.
Franklin's first appearance on TV, by the way.
Yes, over to Charlie Brown's house for Thanksgiving dinner, which Charlie Brown, being Charlie Brown, can't work up enough spine to tell her that that's not going to be possible because they're going to his grandmother's house. So they cobble together a meal to serve them, which consists of toast and popcorn and jelly beans and pretzels and all this other stuff.
And ice cream.
And I'm sitting there going, can I have that?
Yeah, I know.
You know?
But you're not a turkey or a ham eater, which are the traditional stuff in most houses for Thanksgiving, and you don't like either one of them.
I just remember being a little kid and watching this.
Kim's idea of Thanksgiving dinner is meatballs. Mom always makes sure she has meatballs.
That's because my mother's meatballs are amazing.
Your mother's meatballs are amazing.
I just remember being a little kid watching this special going, I want what they're having for Thanksgiving. I don't want this stuff, you know. And the fact that it was all kids at their Thanksgiving festival, and when I was a little kid at Thanksgiving, I was one of the only little kids, so it's all adults and me and my younger sister and maybe one of my cousins, and me just being like, I have no one to talk to.
Yeah,
you know.
And it wasn't all kids.
Huh?
It wasn't all kids.
Well,
Snoopy and Woodstock were there.
Yeah. But it's a cute special. I really like it. The one thing that I really think is hilarious about this special is I love the song Little Birdie that they sing for Woodstock.
Yep.
Woodstock is one of my favorite characters in the Peanuts universe. I just adore him. I think he's just so sweet and cute and funny, and he's like their version of R2-D2. You don't know what he's saying, but you can
figure it out.
You can get it. You can get the gist of it, but you don't actually know for certain, which I think is hilarious because I make up stuff in my head that's probably way off. But my number 3, a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving.
That special has one big bonus.
Yeah.
No Lucy. She's only in the very first segment.
Yeah.
And she's not in the rest of the special, and neither is Sally. Which is really good for both of us. My number 3 is the first of the 2 classics, and it is, it's on every year. We watch it every year. We sit there and crack up every year. We're both well above the demographic it was originally intended for. And it's one of the 2 that I always hope it airs twice, because if they only show it once, they edit part of it out. Every year they edit the 2 out of both specials. They edit my favorite sequence out of the specials, but it's to make room for more commercials.
ABC, leave our peanuts alone. Just,
Well, CBS was doing it too when they finally got done with it, and ABC, when they run it twice, will usually run it in a sandwich with one of the other specials, and that's the edited version. And then when they run it separately, they run the whole thing.
Right.
I love this one. Everybody loves him, and it made a new folk figure come to life, thanks to Linus. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, from 1966, celebrating its 51st year this year, which is just terrifying to me.
Wow.
Lucy and Charlie Brown and the gang get ready to go out for tricks or treats, as they say.
Yeah.
And then
that must be like a local thing wherever Schultz was at the time, because I've never heard that before. And
then head to the Halloween party, but Linus decides he's going to wait in his pumpkin patch for the arrival of the Great Pumpkin when he flies across the world bringing toys to all the good little kids out of the most sincere pumpkin patch there is.
Yeah.
Sally falls for his shtick and stays with him, and of course there's some great stuff with it. This was the first appearance of Snoopy and the Red Baron on TV, and
the World War I flying.
And it was. It's very. If I didn't know better, I'd swear Bill Melendez and his team were on acid at the time they did them, because they're it's very surreal and excellent. It is a funny special, and I think you're just about to talk about it.
I am.
At number 3 for me.
Because my number 2 special from 1966, it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
We did tie on number 1.
Yep.
Had a feeling.
Okay, before I go any further, I want to bring up something real quick. The Great Pumpkin's whole dogma, for lack of a better word, according to Linus, is that he brings toys to the kids with the most sincere pumpkin patch, right? All over the world, right?
Yep.
What happens to kids who live in, like, Abu Dhabi? Or, like, Egypt.
Yeah.
They don't have pumpkins in that part of the world. They don't have pumpkins in that part of the world. Where they just SOL?
Well, they import them. They don't have pumpkin patches. They import pumpkin. I'm sure they eat pumpkin.
Well, yeah, I know, but you know what I mean. It's a great special, although there is one thing that bothers me. the whole "I got a rock" running gag with Charlie Brown.
I got a rock.
I'm like,
we do this with our friends every year. It's
I'm
one
like,
of Jen's
what
favorite phrases.
the hell? What is wrong with the parents in this town? What's wrong with the adults? They see this one kid and they give him a rock. I'm sorry, if that was me, I would have whirled around and chucked that rock through that picture window faster than you can say Boston Red Sox. What?
Don't give kids any ideas. Don't go throwing rocks at neighbors' windows,
Don't
kids.
go giving rocks out to kids at Halloween, adults.
Don't go breaking my heart. I couldn't.
What the? Stop. Just quit it. Anyway.
Don't go in the basement. Anyway.
And don't wear white after Labor Day. Now I think
don't.
We've established all of it now. Hush. The thing that I find so sweet is that I found this out when I was doing research. When this special first aired and for a few years after it, CBS would get inundated with candy. Kids would send their candy because they felt so bad for Charlie Brown.
Yeah, and that was Schultz's fault. He shouldn't have allowed that to happen.
And I was like, that's so precious.
It is.
It's just so precious. And anyway, any special that could get renamed later on and wind up as a Supernatural episode title, I'm all for that.
Now, let me explain something. I said they edit out
Yes,
part of the specials.
And the
every
Supernatural
year
episode is It's the Great Pumpkin, Sam Winchester from season 4.
They did?
Yes.
Oh, for Pete's
There is
sake.
an episode called It's the Great Pumpkin, Sam Winchester. I am not making that up.
In, don't we? The edited part, the thing that they edit out is a bit, and it's the same thing in the other special, but it's with a different character. Is Schroeder and Snoopy at the Halloween party after Snoopy's pretended it's like refuge from his World War I flying
He's
adventures.
pretending he got shot down in France,
yeah.
and he's sneaking through occupied France.
And Schroeder ends up playing a variety of World War I songs, like It's a Long Way to Tipperary, Over There, Pack Up Your Troubles, and in between he plays these really sad French war things, and Snoopy alternately is like dancing to the song, like back and forth, waving his little crop there, his flying crop, and then he's also
maudlin and
crying, and it's hysterical. And they edit out every time. I mean, every other airing, it seems it's edited out. It's one of my favorite bits. So anyway, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's.
Are you
great.
done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Right.
My number 2, It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
My number 2 is, I'll be honest, I came this close to calling it number 1. Mm-hmm. It's a special like no other that Peanuts have ever done, and it was the first and to this day only Peanuts special that made me cry, and I cried hard. And you've already mentioned it. Number 2, What Have We Learned, Charlie Brown, from 1983.
Wow.
This very I at the time had not seen Bon Voyage, Charlie Brown, and Don't Come Back. That movie is very different, and so is the special, because Charlie Brown, Linus, Peppermint Patty, and Marcy, along with Snoopy, are the only characters featured. They're the ones that were the exchange students in France.
Yep.
There is something about... Now, I'm getting choked up. There is something about the sequence where Linus is reciting in Flanders Field with the animated views of the cemetery that just rips you to shreds.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was 21 when it first aired, I think, and I sat there and I bawled. And I bawled and I bawled. It was like, you can't not be touched by this.
Oh, you totally are.
And it's a terrific story. I mean, it is a very different special in the fact that it is actually more dramatic than... There's no laugh track on this one, which is unusual. Well, actually, none of them do.
A lot of laugh track. No,
but they don't. There's no obvious, real big jokes except maybe 3 or 4 quick spots throughout. Yeah. The rest of it is a very serious look at this stuff, and it was aired originally on or around Memorial Day. It aired on Memorial Day, 1983. May 30th.
And I think that year it was very close to the anniversary of D-Day.
Yeah, it was let me see here. It was just a week prior to the 39th anniversary of D-Day. And they aired it again in 1984, and those are the only 2 times it has ever aired on CBS. I don't think ABC has ever aired it. I don't know if Nickelodeon did or not. I don't know. But this is still, if you have kids that don't understand what World War II was all about, and you want them to learn about it from a point of view that they can understand, find this on DVD.
Yeah. If the only thing that your kids know about war, or they think war is cool because of Call of Duty and all the war shoot 'em up games and stuff, show them this.
It really does. It'll rip you apart, and it's a beautiful special. Bill Melendez did some of his best background work ever on this special. It was very surreal in places like It's the Great Pumpkin, and they have like voiceovers from D-Day with Eisenhower and others involved in it. It was the most serious Peanuts project ever until This Is America, Charlie Brown came along in the late 1980s, which I was never able to get into. I didn't really care for that show. But it was, it's an amazing special. It is paired with, it's on DVD, paired as part of the 80s collection, and also, let's see, does it say? No, this one doesn't say what it's paired with on DVD. It's actually available on iTunes too, paired with You're Not Elected and He's a Bully, Charlie Brown, and is also on DVD as part of the Peanuts Emmy honored, because it did win an Emmy, and it is an amazing, amazing special. So please, if you've never seen it, seek it out. Number 2, What Have We Learned, Charlie Brown, from 1983. Okay. So together, I mean, could there really be any choice? I mean, I really did come close to putting it at number 2, but I think together we've pretty much become kids again in December every year.
Yeah. Because I would agree with that statement anyway, and because I've become a kid in December again every year, because you just put me in front of Christmas lights and stuff like that, and my eyes get wide. And
although she doesn't really care for Christmas specials or Christmas music usually, just at certain ones. This is one of them.
My number 1 from 1965, A Charlie Brown Christmas.
My number 1 is A Charlie Brown Christmas also.
The whole, everybody knows this story. The whole thing of Charlie Brown bemoaning the commercialization of Christmas, and him being, chosen to be the director of the school play, and the whole hunting for a tree, and Linus talking about what the true meaning of Christmas is.
Does anybody really know what Christmas is all about? Sure, Charlie Brown, I know what Christmas is all about. Lights, please. I'm not going to go through the whole thing.
I'm sorry, I'm getting choked up again.
You could. Can I say something here that is going to piss some people off? You will never get a special like this in today's television environment ever again because of the religious aspect of it. Today's TV, it's required to be PC and more inclusive, and that's fine. But at the time it was made, it was a revolutionary special, and remains, to this day, one of the highest rated Christmas specials every year.
Yeah. And we're also not knocking anybody else's religion.
No, we're not.
We don't want that to come off that way at all. Speaking as someone who definitely feels and is completely on par with Charlie Brown about the commercialization of Christmas, which I personally find revolting. There's just something so pure about this, and so good. And I realize that pureness and goodness and things like that are probably passé to some people.
No, I don't think so.
No,
I think
certain
people, they don't call it that, but yeah, I don't think it is.
But there's just something deeply moving about this, and I do watch it every year, and I do cry.
Sometimes
every year.
Twice. If they have it on twice, we have to watch it the second time to catch the part of this one that's cut out.
Yeah.
And that one really pisses me off, and I've gone off on it every year on Subject Cinema.
Yes, you have. And you should, because it's hysterical.
It is.
It is absolutely hilarious. I still don't know how Schroeder makes the organ sound with the piano because it's a piano and not an organ.
No, it's a toy piano.
It's a toy piano, yes. There's that as well.
But then again, I've never figured out how Schroeder plays Beethoven on a toy piano.
I mean, he might have a Moog synthesizer shoved in there. I don't know. But it's just this really sweet, good-hearted, good-natured special. And I love it. It reminds me of a time in my life when things were actually okay, you know, and it's just always going to have a special place in my heart. So my number one favorite Peanut special, A Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yep. Just want to point out a few things. It was the first of all the Peanut specials. It premiered on December 9th, 1965. It has run at least once and sometimes twice every year for 52 years. This makes Charlie Brown Christmas the longest running annual special in television history.
Wow.
It beats The Wizard of Oz. It beats all the other Peanut specials by at least a year.
Wow.
It was the first ever animated production to use real children as the voices. And they have continued that tradition all the way through even the new Peanuts movie. It is something that is just really amazing. You see a lot of characters in this particular special that you don't necessarily see in the others.
No.
Shermie, the original Patty, Violet, they're all here. And the Five and his two sisters are here in the dance sequence.
Yeah.
We don't ever see them talk. For those of you who remember the strip, Five was a character introduced in the 60s, and he has two sisters named 3 and 4. And their family name is the zip code. And
it was the 60s.
It was the 60s. You have to understand it. It's a protest thing. But that you see them in the background dancing. Pigpen is here. You know, all of the big characters are here. And most importantly, it introduced mainstream America to the music of Vince Guaraldi. Vince was a well-known jazz performer before he started doing the music, and he scored all the Peanut specials up until his passing in 1978, I think it was. He scored, I mean, this is the special you get Linus and Lucy from, although it's more prominent and usually associated more with It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. It makes its debut in this special, as does Christmas Time Is Here, which has become a perennial by, you know, a variety of artists. Patty Austin did a terrific version of it for Happy Anniversary Charlie Brown a few years ago. And there's so many different things out of this, and we just never miss it because it's just a tradition. And of course, there's the Jingle Bells sequence. In the one that's smushed together with Charlie Brown's Christmas Tales, it's edited out, and I usually scream and rant and rave at ABC.
Guess who gets to listen to that?
Well, everybody, because I do it on Subject Cinema.
That's why we need Christmas candy at that time, because I can stuff my ears with Hershey's Kisses and not listen.
There is a sequence in the show where they're at the rehearsal. It happens before the whole, you know, Linus does the Bible verse and explains what Christmas is all about. And Lucy is trying to tell Schroeder, we need Jingle Bells played. He plays a variety of different versions, and she's like, no, you know, happiness and ho, 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 and Santa Claus and pretty girls. And after doing an organ version and this really elaborate, like almost Harry Connick-like version, a couple other ones, you hear him, you see this angry look on his face with one finger on his toy piano. It sounds like a toy piano. Bing, 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 bing. Pause. Bing, 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 bing. That's it! I'm on the floor every year. I know it's coming, and I sit there and laugh hysterically anyway.
I know.
And they cut it out of the longer one. It is funny. It's hysterical. So those are our top 10. You want to run down?
I will
run them down again?
I will run from 10 to 1. Number 10, What a Nightmare, Charlie Brown. Number 9, You're the Greatest, Charlie Brown. Number 8, It's Your First Kiss, Charlie Brown. Number 7, It's a Mystery, Charlie Brown. Number 6, Why, Charlie Brown, Why? Number 5, What Have We Learned, Charlie Brown? Number 4, It's the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown. Number 3, A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. Number 2, It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. And my number 1, Peanut special that I love the mostest. Number 1, A Charlie Brown Christmas.
So we tied in our top 5 in different positions, except for you picked Thanksgiving and I picked Flash Beagle.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10, It's an Adventure, Charlie Brown from 1983. Number 9, Play It Again, Charlie Brown, 1971. Number 8, Snoopy the Musical from 1988. Number 7, A Charlie Brown Celebration from 1982. Number 6 is This Goodbye, Charlie Brown from 1983. Number 5, it's The Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown from 1974. Number 4, it's Flash Beagle, Charlie Brown from 1984. Number 3, it's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown from 1966. Number 2, The Incredible What Have We Learned, Charlie Brown from 1983. And at number 1, like him, and like I think probably about 95% of our listeners, A Charlie Brown Christmas from 1965.
Yep.
52 years this year.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I wasn't even the gleam of a spark of a twinkle in my mother's eye. That's craziness.
I have a vague memory of sitting down to watch it probably when I was 3, so it would have been its first repeat airing. I can't remember back to 2. I do have some memories from when I was 3. And I remember sitting in the house in our tiny little house in Waverly, Washington, the tiniest town in Washington State at the time. And watching A Charlie Brown Christmas and being all excited about it. And I mean, I must have been 3. Like I said, I wouldn't have remembered it if it was when it premiered. So it must have been the first repeat in 1966. You can figure out how old I am from that. But it's just a really great memory. I have great memories of all the Peanut specials I've watched.
That's really nice.
And I think you do too.
I do.
So that's my list.
Yep.
What are we headed? Oh, what are you going to torture me with next week?
Next week we're going to have a 5 and 5 list.
Okay.
Next week's top 5 lists will be the 5 superheroes who need to be in movies and 5 supervillains who need to be in movies.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
Now, you don't have to cast them, but if you want to, that's fine. But
so they have to have never been in or very rarely have been.
Yeah, they can. Okay. And we hope we can count on you to help us count up the shows we've had this summer, and you'll go and check them all out.
Check out our Spotify playlist of all the songs this week. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Sure.
Live action? Because a lot of them have done the animated stuff.
I mean, that's what yes, they have to have, whoever you put on your list, they have to have, this will be their debut in a live action film. If they've been in an animated film, that's fine. That doesn't count.
Okay.
This is for live
action. So live action debuts,
yes.
Movies, TV, web.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
I think we can do that. 5
superheroes and 5 supervillains. So get to it.
That'll be fun.
Okay.
Coming up, of course, as we always do, we have great new shows every week. Subject Cinema every Sunday, usually around 7, 8 o'clock, with great stuff all month long. It's Screen Screams, as we're looking at multivisions, we're calling it this year, where we look at different versions of classic horror or gothic horror stories.
Yes. This past week, we were looking at variations on The Picture of Dorian Gray. This week coming up,
we've got Dr. Heckle and Mr. Jive.
No, we don't! We're going to be looking... We're going to be looking at the various versions of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and trust me, there's been a lot.
Yeah, I remember the Bugs Bunny version, but probably the best, I think. Well, I haven't really... And the version that was in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And I try to forget that movie as much as possible.
I know.
That's coming up Sunday. Don't forget our preview shows each week. Tuesday, Digidex on Tuesday with all the new home video releases, and 3-Minute Weekend telling you all the new movies that are available in the theaters and possibly on demand every Friday. Mm-hmm. And we have other shows out there too, including Cavebabble with Eric and Valerie Lyon, Comic Grotto with Aunt B and Pee-wee, Cavebabble.com, ComicGrotto.com. And Kim's show, Platinum Rose's Garden, has its season premiere this weekend.
Yes, it does.
Because it's back.
Because you don't need to sound that enthusiastic.
It's back.
It is a nice back. The front's nice too. I will be back
Tenfold. Shush.
I will be back with my show, Platinum Rose's Garden, looking at season 13, episode 1. Lost and Found. So I hope you guys will come and check out my show, which is not safe for work because I swear like a trucker. And TC has his own solo show.
I do. Catastrophe Vortex is running every other Wednesday throughout the rest of this year. We'll have a new episode as we speak here. Will be next Wednesday with all the great things I can find about disaster movies and disaster TV shows and disasters in songs and all kinds of stuff. I hope you'll join me for that at catastrophevortex.com every other Wednesday. We are also developing a new show for Kim for January.
Yes.
And we are also developing a new show for me for sometime next year also. Plus, we're always on the move. And because we do so much around here, we spend a lot of time making these great shows for you. You spend a lot of great time listening to them. And we do all these things. We want to be able to do more and more for you. And that's why it's important for you to become a Patreon patron. $2 a month or more. It starts at $2. We'd appreciate it if you could give more. But if not, no biggie. And it does help us out. Well, actually, it is biggie because the more we can get, the more we can do. And it would be a big help to us if you would take the time to throw us a little love every now and then on Patreon. It's a monthly thing. It's like Kickstarter, but it comes out every month. It's like a PBS sustainer program.
Yep.
Only it's for podcasters. And we hope that you will come over and join us at patreon.com/PNRNetworks.
Yep.
And of course, check out our websites, eCinemaOne, eCinemaBoston, all that stuff every week with great new shows and features and all kinds of stuff. Top 5 villains and heroes not seen previously on live action stuff.
Yep.
That'll be fun. Okay. Until then,
I'm Kim Brown.
I'm TC Kirkham.
And we hope we can count on you to come back next week and help us count up our list here on Front Row 5 and 10.
Count on seeing you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Front Row 5 and 10 with Kim Brown and TC Kirkham.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.